pressure limited and time cycled. When used as assisted mode, it's pressure flow triggered, pressure volume limited, and time cycled. All breaths are delivered at a preset PIP and I time. In between controlled breaths, a patient can trigger an assisted breath at the same parameters as a controlled breath. Other names for pressure control are pressure assist control, pressure control ventilation, assisted ventilation, assisted mechanical ventilation, control mode, and controlled mechanical ventilation.
The pressure control mode would be used on patients where you'd want to provide their full ventilatory support. This would be the mandatory mode. It would be used on patients who have inadequate or no respiratory effort at all. You could use the mandatory mode for if they have no effort, and inadequate, that would be when you'd have the assist mode. When you would use pressure control when you would want to control their ventilatory activity. And also you would use it on patients with a stable respiratory drive who can trigger the vent, as well as patients requiring a preset pressure limit and a variable flow.
The advantages of pressure control is that it provides full ventilatory support. It guarantees pressure-limited breaths for minimum PIP and plateau. It minimizes the patient's work of breathing. The patient can control their minute ventilation and their rate. It provides a variable flow for patients to be more comfortable, and it is a lung protective mode. The disadvantages of pressure control are there's no guaranteed tidal volume. It can cause excessive patient work of breathing if the sensitivity is not set correctly. And also there's a possibility of respiratory muscle atrophy.
Now we are going to set up a servo I in an 840. When you set up your ventilator, it depends on the patient's disease process and the ABGs. We are just going to set up basic parameters, and what you set with pressure control is an I time, a frequency, a pressure above PEEP, and an FiO2. Now here is how you set the frequency, and you turn the knob to set the frequency. We're going to set a frequency at 12, and we're going to set a pressure above PEEP at 20. Setting the I time at 0.09. No, 0.90. Alright, now setting up pressure control. On the 840, you put in the patient's weight. Our patient today is going to weigh 60 kilograms. It is in assist control mode, and it's in pressure control. And you push continue. And we are going to set a frequency of 12, and you do that by turning the knob. A pressure above PEEP at 20. And the I time is 0.90. And our oxygen is just on 21%. With a PEEP of 5. And you also set the sensitivity for the patient. And here are all of our settings that we have set right here. And then make sure when you set your settings on your ventilator, you set your alarms appropriate. And in here we have our alarms set appropriate for this patient. And also, when treating a patient, a big part is looking at their waveforms, especially if they developed auto-PEEP, if they have increased airway resistance, or any type of, if they were in another mode, if they were assisting.
Okay, so now I'm going to set up pressure control on the servo I. To set up pressure control, first you would turn on your vent. You want to select the mode. And this is a touch screen, so we'll want to just touch what you want. We'll want to set the pressure control above PEEP at 20. So we'll just select it, and you can dial the number in. Once you've selected the number, you can either touch the screen, or you can also accept it by pushing the knob. We'll want to set the respiratory rate to 12 for this case. We want to set a PEEP of 5, or whatever PEEP that you select. Your O2 concentration. For this demonstration, we'll select 21%, room air. You'll want to set an I time. And here you would dial in the I time. We're not putting in a inspiratory rise time, and we'll want to set a trigger flow. We'll set that at 2. Hit accept, and on the servo I, it goes automatically to your waveforms. On the right side, we'll display your peak pressures. That's your pressure set at 20 plus your PEEP, shows 25. Here is your frequency, your respiratory rate, shows your percent oxygen, 21. And the bottom waveform is your minute ventilation, and your inspiratory tidal volumes and your expiratory tidal volumes. You want the patient to take a couple breaths and then set your alarms. So you hit alarm profile, set your upper pressure limit. We chose 35. Your lower minute volume, we chose 5. Your upper minute volume, we selected 11. Currently he's doing 8.3, so we chose 11. Respiratory rate, our lower respiratory rate, we're going to set it to 6. And we don't want him to do any more than 30 breaths per minute. Our peak, our end expiratory pressure, the lower would be 2, and the upper would be 10. And hit accept, and then your alarms are set. If you want to look at flow loops, you hit your quick access button, select the loops, and your loops will be displayed on the left.